Next on, please welcome David Azarian, Principal Program Manager, Windows and the Device Group, and Connor Wentz, Program Manager, Windows and the Device Group, who will discuss Windows Ink and the natural input. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to welcome David and Connor.
Good afternoon. Thank you guys for your patience. We're the last talk of the day, but we have some really exciting demos for you. I'm David Abzarian. I'm the lead program manager for the Windows Ink and the Natural Device Input team.
And I'm Connor Wines. I'm a program manager on the Windows Ink and Device Input team.
Our team supports all of the input devices on Windows, ranging from pen and touch to precision touchpad, text input, the soft keyboard, mice, and now even more with investments in gamepads and eye tracking. We also support these input devices across all SKUs of Windows, from previously something as small as the Microsoft Band all the way up to something as large as the 84-inch Surface Hub. When we talk about what is natural input, these are all about devices that capture the user's creativity and expression. And ink is the most natural of those inputs. We also talk about experiences that involve direct manipulation, where the things stick to your finger or stick to your pen, being as natural as pen and paper. We also talk about multimodal interactions, where you use both hands, your dominant hand and your non-dominant hand, to be more productive with the computing device you're using. And lastly, new and innovative device categories, like radial controllers, which Connor's going to talk about a little bit later today. But first, it's been a year since I've been here in Taiwan. It's great to be back. We're going to show you a little update of what's happened in a year of Windows Ink. We're so proud of the teams that we collaborate with at Microsoft to deliver those experiences. It's really important to understand how this fits into what we call the Windows Ink flywheel. It's a virtuous cycle of how we develop and accelerate pen and ink development at Microsoft. We start by building compelling experiences that give users reasons to pick up the pen and keep using it. We started in the anniversary update with introducing the Windows Ink workspace that provided you sticky notes, a sketchpad, and screen sketch so you can capture any screen and annotate on it. With these experiences, they generate demand for devices. Customers look for the highest quality pen devices across a broad set of price points. These device sockets that these devices increase the number of sockets for app developers to build against, and we get more and more applications built on our rich platform. These applications, in turn, generate more engagement with our users, and then our users demand more compelling experiences from the inbox in the system. The opportunity right now is huge with pen and ink on Windows. Just in the past year, we have seen double the number of pen and ink devices on the market. And we're on track to double that again in the next year. What's really important to note is that users are more satisfied with their devices if they use pen. There's a term NPS, Net Promoter Score. I'm an engineer, so this was new to me. This is how likely someone is to recommend a product or a service. And what we find is that users have a higher NPS score if they use the pen versus those who don't. Also, since the last time we talked, We've tripled the number of applications in the store that support pen and ink on Windows. Now there's over 1,000 apps that allow consumers to create, consume, and collaborate with their pen on Windows. There are lots of opportunities to partner with Microsoft in terms of on the application side as well as on the hardware side. We can do joint promotions through Windows Marketing. We also have the ability for applications to be featured in the Ink workspace as a featured app. There's also the Windows Ink collection, and this is very important. This is the second most visited property in the store, except for actually Edge extensions, which is #1. And it's important to note that 6 out of the top 10 revenue-generating applications on Windows have inking functionality built in. We also have Microsoft events like this, where we actually bring our partners on stage. Build, WinHEC, and Computex are all the types of opportunities for us to partner together to promote our ecosystem of ink devices. Now I'm going to turn it over to Connor, who's going to talk about how easy it is to get started on the Windows Ink platform.
Thanks, David. So David was talking a lot about the opportunities of what we have out here in the ecosystem. And when I talk with application developers about how many new pen devices we've seen, all the extra engagement that we get out of users on pen-enabled devices, and also all these partnering opportunities, the first thing they ask me is, how do I get started? How do I integrate with the Windows Ink platform? And we are so happy to be able to bridge this connection to developers and help them out. The Windows Ink platform makes it simple to get started using our inbox SAML controls. With just a couple lines of code, developers now have inking functionality in their universal Windows platform apps. But using some of the lower levels of the stack, developers can build much richer experiences using things like our Ink Presenter, which powers all of the rendering of our brushes in the system, or the Inkstroke container in Inkstroke for managing data. And then at the lower levels of the stack, we have Pointer, which allows developers to see exactly what input they're getting from their touch and pen devices to build on some of the unique aspects of different hardware. Along with that, we have other APIs, like Ink Analysis and our Radial Controller platform, which supports some new and differentiated features. We'll talk a little bit about those other ones later, but right now I really want to focus on what developers are able to create with Ink. So I mentioned those XAML controls, our Ink Canvas and Ink Toolbar. With the Ink Canvas, developers can get started with some of the most fast, fluid, and beautiful ink available on the Windows platform just with one line of code. By including this UI control, they have access to all the brushes we've built in, from our ballpoint pen to our highlighter to our pencil, which has some new features that David's going to talk about later. With all of this, they also have access to the Ink Presenter, which is what powers the ability to add inking to Win32 apps as well. So there is a lot of flexibility that's there. We also offer the XAML Ink Toolbar, the control that you can see on the top of the page there. This gives developers the ability to offer users a consistent way to change the attributes of their ink, change the color, the size of the stroke, and switch between those different brush options. Not only does this give users an experience that feels familiar every time they end up in an inking application, but it also gives developers the latest features that we add to the platform. They don't need to do any extra work. It's just there. From our stencils to things like integration with the Radial Controller APIs, which I'll talk about a little bit later. We also have support for things like simultaneous pen and touch. Now, this is something that we're really excited to talk about when we talk about natural input. Because when I write and I draw, I don't only use the pen that's holding, or the hand that's holding my pen. I use my other hand to help guide the page, hold things like a ruler in the real world. Now, we want to bring that experience that happens in the real world to the digital world. Now, when any developer uses our inbox controls, that Ink Canvas and the Ink Toolbar, they get simultaneous pen and touch support as long as their hardware supports it. So we'll have new stencils like our protractor you saw in the video before, with angle readout allowing users to easily create arcs and circles, as well as our ruler, which we've added some improvements for to provide snapping at 45-degree angle increments and an angle readout so users can more easily tell what angle they're drawing with the ruler. And because we've added all this support with the Ink Toolbar, there's all this support in Office, Maps, and any of those Ink Toolbar applications. But also, we've seen developers who are building simultaneous pen and touch interactions independently. So we have developers like Sketchable who allow you to use your hand to move the canvas as you draw. Now, on a small tablet, you might think, oh, I can move the tablet. But when you look at larger screen devices like Surface Studio or any of the all-in-one devices, you can't move those with your hand to adjust your position. That's where simultaneous pen and touch really shines. And we've seen developers do a lot of stuff with this platform from start to finish. Pixiv, which is an online community for artists started in Japan, have just launched a universal Windows platform app built on our input stack, which allows users to very quickly sketch up drawings and send them out to all of their friends and other artists in the community. We have applications like Journalist, which is a sketchbooking app, which uses our ink toolbar to provide support for stencils and all of the different brushes. So that way they can focus on their value-add features, like integration of adding photos and backgrounds to create fun effects. But there's so much more you can do with inking. When you think about the challenges of taking ink that's drawn on something like a 3D model here in Sensivis, and making sure that that ink sticks to the 3D model as I rotate it and transform it in space. All of that are things that are possible using the Windows Ink platform. But we think Windows Ink doesn't just take care of what happens with ink when you write it, the rendering of ink. It's so much more. When I write things on a paper, it has meaning and intent. So ink plus intelligence that's driven by the Windows Ink platform delivers what we like to call smart inking. Smart inking allows us to empower the user to do more with their ink because we can understand what they meant when they wrote it and provide the bridge between a scribble on a piece of paper and a polished document that you would send to your manager. So when you see this sample up here on the slide, we as humans are very smart and we can understand that there are a lot of words in that diagram, but there's also an order to how they're provided. We can see things like an area that's used for writing, a list that contains multiple items. Now we want to deliver that same knowledge to all of our developers, give them the ability to understand what ink means and do more with it. So we've offered Smart Ink in the fall, or in the Windows Creators Update, to be able to take things like the strokes that are on your page and classify those entities. Are we seeing text here? Is it a drawing, a sketch? From there, we analyze the layout of how those strokes are arranged. If we know we have a large section of text, is it a paragraph? Do we have lists, words, sentences? And then even deeper into the way that this is organized, we can look individual words. What word is it? Using our handwriting recognition in the platform. Or if we see a shape, what shape is it? All of this is available to developers today through our Windows Ink Analysis APIs. With the Windows Ink Analysis APIs, you get access to layout analysis, writing and shape classification, handwriting recognition, all the same things that you see in the Sticky Notes app in the Windows Ink workspace is now available to all of our developers through the Ink Analyzer. So I'm actually going to go over to a short demo over here where I'm going to show you what it looks like to use Ink Analysis live. So over here, I have a demo application. Okay, excellent. So you can see that same ink sample that I showed a couple of slides earlier. Now, when I use touch in this application, it will show the results of what the Ink Analyzer gets when I'm taking a set of strokes and feeding it into the classifier. So over here, you can see I've selected to do, and it recognizes not only the word to and do, but the fact that they are together as a conceptual item. It represents one word. And if I were to double-click on this, I can expand that selection. I can look at the entire sentence, to-do list for today. And if you know that meaning, then you can understand this is the things that I need to do today. And you could, include that in your notes with the date attached to it. Or we could see the deadline is 1 week away and understand that we need to create a calendar invite to be able to, or a calendar notification to make sure that you finish these tasks. There are other things we can do as well. You can see that we have a bulleted list over here. Now we recognize that we have a bulleted list, and we can do, just with the click of a button, the ability to make it prettier, more beautiful to the user. And not only that, we can do recognition on the fly here. I'll draw some shapes, a circle, triangle, and a square. And we can recognize each of these. This is an equilateral triangle and a square. So all of that just gets recognized and brought into the platform, which is something that's available to developers. And we've been releasing demos and samples so that way folks can get more excited and learn more about all the power of our ink analysis platform. So moving back to the slides, excuse me, David. We have developers who are already taking advantage of this today. Applications like Fluid Math are bringing ink recognition to education. So you can write with your pen math equations. And from there, they can create graphs of those automatically and have integration with the Surface Dial and other accessories to be able to quickly allow students to be able to change the properties, makes it easier to do homework. But it's not just education. We can take this and bring it into some of the best enterprise applications like SolidWorks. So here in SolidWorks, you can see a demo that they put together. We're using ink. They're able to take shape recognition and be able to create objects. Here they're trying to replicate a part that they see in a drawing. They can draw circles, have those be recognized into shapes, draw a triangle as well, and turn those into entities inside of this CAD application. From there, they could extrude those out into a 3D model and take that 3D model and send it over to a 3D printer and fabricate something, all without needing to use the mouse or the keyboard, just using the pen. And that's the power of the Smart Ink platform. But there's more we can do with this as well. This is an intern project that was delivered by MSR, where they took our Smart Ink and built on top of it, did things like recognize time or tables, and convert those into entities. You can imagine taking something like a list and turn it into not just a list, but checkbox items, or quickly, using a combination of text and shape recognition, turn it into a diagram. This is how we're going to enable the future of collaboration, of working with ink. All you need is the pen, and you can do so much more. And in order to deliver these experiences, we need to have hardware that is excellent, like what we have today in our ecosystem. David's going to talk more about how we enable these experiences.
Thanks, Connor. When you see the Smart Ink engine that Connor was demonstrating, it's really important that it be fed high-quality pen input. When we talk about Smart Ink or beautiful ink, it's important that the pen devices provide high accuracy, low jitter. They have to have a realistic pressure curve to really model naturally how the user is applying their force to the screen, which is mimicking the paper. Really important that it has reliable palm rejection. For a digital experience to truly mimic pen and paper and then go above and beyond with Smart Ink, it has to provide none of the detractors that palm rejection would cause. It's important that pens provide an eraser affordance. It's natural for the user to either press a button on the pen to erase a stroke and have that easily available to them, or flip the pen over and use a tail, just like they would with a pencil. What's new for the Fall Creators Update is we're introducing experiences, which you may have seen, I demonstrated this morning at the keynote, that require the barrel button. And the barrel button unlocks this ability to perform selection and commanding, unlocking productivity in the Fall Creators Update. You've seen this slide maybe last year at last year's WinHEC, where we talked about different pen designs. This has actually been updated to sort of show how pens have evolved over the past year. On the left-hand side, you see the Surface Pro 4 pen. It's showing one potential implementation where you have a tail-end eraser, as I was talking about. It also has a Bluetooth shortcut button. Bluetooth shortcut buttons are used on premium pens, for instance, for launching applications like the Wink Workspace, Sticky Notes, OneNote. And Connor's going to talk a little bit more what we're doing to get more value from the Bluetooth button on pens. On the right-hand side, you see the brand new Bamboo ink released by Wacom this month. And this also has the premium Bluetooth shortcut button, but implements a different style of having the eraser as a button on the pen. With Windows Ink, it's important that you pass our compatibility tests to ensure that they meet the minimum bar for the quality of that data. We provide tests for the pen itself, which we call the Pen HLK, and we have had tests for touch, which is called the Touch HLK. What's new, which we have just published, actually should be online, I think, this week, will be the simultaneous pen and touch addendum. This allows you to test out your device for its simultaneous pen touch capabilities using the existing pen and touch tests with some additional instructions we provided to make sure that your pen and touch experience when used simultaneously will work compatibly with things like the stencil experiences and other app experiences that Connor talked about a little earlier. Important to note, mention that barrel button again. It's becoming a new requirement as part of the HLK where it will be tested and validated that you have that side switch button on the pen. That's going to start being enforced on May 1st, 2018 to coincide with some of the experiences that will come at that time. Now, it's important when we talk about compatibility, we talk about Microsoft Pen. This is the easiest way to be compatible with all the Windows Ink experiences. It's just an off-the-shelf solution from our supply chain partners of compatible pens and compatible touch controllers. They're high quality, they're affordable, and they're also power efficient based on the Microsoft Pen protocol. So I talked about this morning, we've doubled the number of devices in the ecosystem, and now customers, the best way for them to experience and love inking is to have the pen in their hand. Now we understand the best way for this to happen is for devices to bundle the pen in the box. But because of pricing pressures, sometimes that's not possible. We need to make it very easy for users to locate a pen, and now with the Microsoft Pen program, that's easier than ever to find retail offerings where the pen is compatible with their device. Because all pens and all devices that speak the Microsoft Pen protocol work together. This slide, you saw probably an earlier version of this last year. It keeps growing. We keep adding more and more partners to our Microsoft Pen supply chain. We have great OEM partners producing Microsoft Pen compatible devices. We have great touch controller partners producing Microsoft Pen compatible touch controllers, and a fantastic set of ODM partners building Microsoft Pen compatible pens. New for the Creators Update is the Tilt Pencil. This is actually taking the built-in brush from the Windows Ink rendering engine and adding tilt capability to it to give you the most natural experience of using a pencil. Unlike some of our competitors' implementations, we have a full dynamic range. You don't just see discrete steps of thickness changing with the pencil. It's a full range, continuous across the tilt that you're doing across the X and Y axis. We also support layering in the engine. When you use a real pencil and you do a pencil stroke and you do another stroke over top of it, there's subtle blending that you'll see of one stroke over the other. Windows Ink is able to replicate that with our rendering techniques. And this built-in brush, as Connor was talking about, our Ink toolbar, if you use our Ink toolbar, you get this for free. If you're using Ink Presenter in a Win32 application, you get this for free. And the demonstration video you saw there is shown on the Wacom Cintiq device. Also on external digitizers like the Wacom Intuos Pro, this just works. Now, we talked about the platform having different layers. The simplest being the XAML controls. That's the easiest way to consume and build on Windows Ink. But if you want to go deeper and build experiences on Tilt, like you saw the Expressi demonstration this morning that Robert did, you want to consume Tilt from our Pointer API set. This is available for both Win32 and for our UWP platform through WM Pointer and Pointer Point respectively. And we're going to show some links at the end of all the resource guides that will tell you exactly how to interpret the tilt values through the platform. Now with that, I'd like to introduce Ide Nobutaka, Executive Vice President of Wacom, who's going to talk about how Wacom has been enabling the Windows ecosystem with Tilt and Universal Pen.
Thank you, David-san. Hello, everybody. My name is Nobu Ide. I'm in charge of our Technology Solutions business unit in Wacom. So today, I'd like to talk about the collaboration between Microsoft and Wacom and how Wacom Pen technologies are supporting Creators Update of Windows 10. So Wacom has our pen technology portfolio, EMR and AES. And both technologies, EMR, AES, are fully supporting Creators Update of Windows 10. First point is, of course, the natural writing experience. And our latest pen technology supporting our higher pen report rate, more than 200 Hz, which is less jitter and more accuracy and least latency, as Davidson mentioned. And also 4096 level pen pressure, which makes your ink very dynamic and detailed and natural expressions. And also we have been supporting simultaneous pen touch since last year from our anniversary update. It's still supporting. And moreover, I'm so excited to update it with you. Both Wacom pen technologies, EMR, AES, are supporting tilt sections, tilt features for creative drawing experience. Actually, Wacom has been focusing for their creative expression for more than 30 years. We keep serving professional creators, professional designers, and all the creative expressions. Tilt is one of the very important factors to make the creative ink. So today, I'm happy to make some short demo to show how we implemented tilt functions in our latest systems. So first system which Rita is doing is our EMR-based, Samsung-based, Samsung brand Windows tablet. So you can see the very beautiful smooth tilt, and if you put the pen pressure, it changes the expressions of the tilt, right? And the other systems which we are going to do demo, this is AES-based or G12 Plus with our latest AES pen protocol, AES 2.0. You can see their very beautiful smooth tilt expressions, and also not only just our writing or drawings, you can enjoy, as Rita thinks, their Chinese characters or calligraphies. You can have a very good expressions. So both EMR G12PL solutions and for AES G12P Plus with AES 2.0 new protocol Wacom pen, both technologies are ready to design in OEM customers and solutions. Okay. Second point I'd like to talk about our universal pen experience. Microsoft and Wacom are sharing universal pen visions. Single pen should work across the systems of Windows. And whichever OEM customer's product, whichever applications, single pen should work without worrying about compatibilities. We talked about these concepts last year's WinHEC, and I promised we are going to develop the dual protocol pen, and I'm happy to make an announcement we've done. So this is under Wacom brand called Bamboo Ink. So this pen is supporting both protocol, the Microsoft pen protocol, MPP, and Wacom AES protocol. It means if you have this pen, it works on Surface Pro 3, Surface Pro 4, Surface Pro 5, and Dell, Lenovo, HP, any Windows systems which Wacom AES pen is implemented. So it works. So, and this is just first step, dual protocol pen as universal pen. And we are now stopping here. Moreover, Wacom is developing multi-protocol pen. On top of the Wacom AES 1.0 and the MPP, we are trying to implement another protocol, AES 2.0, the latest feature, latest performance, new generation Wacom protocol. And also, we are working with a display company like LG Display for in-cell touch. So Wacom AES pen work with in-cell touch. So all these protocols, MPP, Wacom 1.0, AES 2.0, in-cell protocol are packed into one pen and keeps backwards compatibilities, delivering multi-pen experience. So just maybe quick short demo of the dual protocol pen, Bamboo Ink. So now what Rita is doing are Wacom AES pen mode. So here, me. Yeah. Yes, this is MPP. So it works. I'd like to talk about a little bit mid-term, long-term visions which we are sharing with Microsoft. This is about a digital stationery consortium we call DSC. So Wacom is hosting this consortium, digital stationery consortium, since last year. This is non-profit organization we registered last year. The vision of these consortiums was we're trying to open up the brand new market of digital stationery. The vision is digital pen, digital ink, by any time, by anywhere, by anybody. No worry about compatibility, seamless, and unlimited choice of pen industrial design and pen paper feeling for the writing experience, together with whole digital ink benefit, cloud applications, as David-san mentioned, smart ink, real-time collaborations by ink in the cloud space. All these digital ink benefit we like to deliver together with a pen and paper writing experience. So Wacom cannot do anything by ourselves. So within the context of Digital Stationery Consortium, this consortium is inviting all the different industry partners, not only tablet, mobile OS partners, but also like traditional note paper company or traditional pen manufacturers and cloud service application guys, and everybody get together and sharing vision how we can achieve this digital stationery new market field. So we are working, and not only Microsoft, there are ELANs, like our strategic partners with us. We are sharing these visions, and we are sharing these activities, trying to deliver the best of the best experience. So thank you very much, and thank you very much for listening. And Wacom will make a commitment. We'll never stop, creating technology innovations together with Microsoft. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ide-san.
Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce Joe Ye, Executive Vice President of Elan, to talk about how Elan has been leading the Windows ecosystem with Microsoft Pen. Joe.
Hello. Being in Taiwan, it's just quite the honor. Everyone who knows me well, I do have a U.S. passport, but I was born 15 minutes away from here at the Yuan 30 plus years ago. So being in your home country, speaking in front of partners, customers, vendors alike, it thrills me with no words I can describe it. So everyone knows in this industry, things move very quickly. Instead of taking steps, you're taking leaps. And when we're doing that, it's also important to look back and revisit what was the vision, what was the singular goal we had in mind when we started this mission. When this rock band was formed between Microsoft, Wacom, and Elan, we had one singular vision, was to bring the most natural digital ink experience to your everyday devices, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. There shouldn't be an asterisk, it works on this device, doesn't work on that device. This device has a better pen performance than the other device. That's what I said. Period. That's it. And as time moved on from last year when I had the pleasure of being here 12 months ago on stage, and this year, what have we done? What has Elan done as a company to actually drive down this path? So I want to quickly share that with you. 12 months ago, we accomplished we're on the phase 2. So phase 1 was when we took an existing Gen 5 controller, which is supporting proprietary protocols. We took that and we made it fully compatible, HLK compliant with MPP, and that was a year and a half ago, December 2016. From then, I was on stage at Shenzhen and also Taipei to share that vision, to share that grand vision with everyone here. And I'm sure there were doubts, but I can reassure you, after my presentation and after everyone else's presentation, including Ide-san's and David's, there should be zero doubts in your minds that what we have achieved is absolutely incredible, and we're going to continue to innovate. Now, very, very happy to share phases 3 and 4 with you here in Taipei today. So from 12 months ago, when we passed HLK, I was on stage and we actually started the promotion process of MPP to our customers. We had, at that point, May of 2016, we had 0 MPP projects that was launching, right? There was not a single device you can buy on the market that was MPP compatible outside of first-party devices such as Surface. From then, our close partners and customers at ASUS for their Transformer series, HP for their Spectre series, Acer for the Switch series, all have universally adopted this protocol with the same vision that we had. So as of today, we went from 12 months ago with 0 projects on the market, 0 controllers shipping that was MPP compatible. Today, we're shipping hundreds of thousands per month. And we'll be reaching the volume of millions by the end of this year. In this year, what we call really year 1. Last year was year 0. This is year 1 of the MPP movement. Now, we haven't stopped there. We've gone ahead and continued to innovate. With our Gen 6, the customers were asking for it, users were asking for it for the multimodal input, simultaneous pen touch. And we added that with the best in-class palm projection with the MPP in our Generation 6. So with that, these are all the devices that has shipped onto the market. You can buy it. It's readily available. And you can buy right now. That's the Elan controller with the Microsoft Pen protocol, including the latest, as I mentioned, outside the Transformer series, the latest ZenBook Flip S, which was announced at Computex in Taipei a couple weeks ago. Of course, the Spectre X360, the high end. This is their premium. We didn't start low. We started high. This is the premium of the premium for the Spectre X360. We had the dual Acer Switch 2-in-1s and then the Dell Inspiron series. So what you see here is I'm not up here just bragging about how many controllers I'm selling and so on. But it goes back to that vision. It goes back to scalability. You see here on stage, you have devices from 10-inch to 15.6-inch. You have HD resolution to Full HD resolution. You have ITO film to OGS. Completely fully scalable to what the market demands and needs. And of course, most importantly, price point. You have $299, $399 devices. That's actually bundling pen, like the Surface Transformer T102. All the way up to the very high end, the Ultra HDs, the UHD panels, which is costing you $15,000 or more. So this would not be possible without all of your support and all of your help. So at this point, I would like to give everybody a hand for making this possible. Now, I have 2 quick demos, and I promise you I'll end this on a high note. So for the first time ever, I want to share with you this natural ink experience, digital ink experience across the multiple devices. So I have here is the first device here. You can see I'm going to go in chronological order because all these are our tier 0 partners, if you will, tier 0 customers. Everyone's as important. With the Acer Switch 5, we'll start. So you can see here is the Acer plus MPP. Oh, sorry. And then this is the ASUS device. You can see here it's plus MPP, Acer and ASUS. And then going on to Dell, same, running the same with the singular Surface Pro 4 pen, MPP, HP, MPP. And then this Lenovo was a firmware retrofit, so this is not a launch product, but we wanted to share for the kind of the universal experience what it actually entails. So this is a retrofit, but also works with MPP.
And Joe, I can take the same pen that Ide-san gave me, my own personal bamboo pen, my new favorite pen, and I can come by, and I was using it on the Wacom device, and now I can switch it over to Microsoft Pen mode. Oh, sorry, this is a Wacom device.
Yep.
And I can switch over and use this on every single one of these Elan MPP devices. Amazing.
in a 12-month period, we were able to achieve so much. Now, let me share with you the next steps. So this device here is a 15.6-inch retrofit with our Gen 6 protocol. And what we're showing here is the simultaneous pen touch, as I mentioned in the phase 4, simultaneous pen touch, working with MPP simultaneously. So we're just getting booted up here. Now, of all the software that Connor and David talked about, all the software integration with the protractor and ruler, we understand the importance of adding such a feature inbox, natively, inside controller, right to your doorstep. So you come here, take out the protractor, you can zoom in, zoom out, or you can make this to scale, move it. So without lifting my hand to switch in between, I can do simultaneous 10 touch. Fully functioning with your Surface Pro 4 pen, OEM pens, or the Wacom Dual Protocol pen. So I'm happy to announce today, Gen 6 is readily available to all of our partners and all of our customers. And you should be seeing our Gen 6 with simultaneous pen touch, MPP, lower latency, all in one singular firmware on the market holiday 2017. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. What a great set of demos. Thank you, Ide-san. Thank you, Joe. That was awesome. I'm now going to turn it over to Connor to talk about where we're going next with Windows Ink, how we're accelerating the flywheel with new experiences that span hardware, platform, and applications.
Thanks, David. So, David mentioned earlier in the slides the flywheel for Windows Ink. We need to be able to create compelling experiences in our platform in order to give users a reason to go out and buy pen-enabled devices, to drive the number of devices out in the market, to get application developers excited about building pen and ink-enabled apps, and then from that, generating the ability for us to deliver even more great experiences. So today, we're very excited to announce that there are soon coming more supply chain choices for folks who are looking at delivering a MPP-compatible system. Both Goodix and Weta are in the process of developing MPP on their upcoming chipsets. So OEMs who are looking at delivering an MPP system will have new choices available soon. Now, David talked a little bit earlier about pen designs, which deliver premium experiences through the Bluetooth shortcut button. What we've done with the upcoming Fall Creators Update is allow developers more flexibility in interacting with their pen hardware by letting them listen to those shortcut keys directly. With the Fall Creators Update, Win32 app developers will be able to use the Register Hotkey APIs to be able to build experiences on top of the single-click, double-click, and press and hold functionality that you can learn how to build from our pen implementation guide. So with this, you could imagine I could use my pen to control my slides in PowerPoint, or to change the color when I'm in a note-taking application. In fact, the Wacom booth has an excellent demo of just this kind of functionality, so definitely check that out if you get the chance. And it's not just some of the hardware that's available that differentiates the pen, but we want to differentiate the experience for users so that way they feel comfortable using their pen hardware all the time. So we've done some things inside of Windows to help enable that, and the first thing we like to call Find My Pen. A big problem that we've heard from users is that they love picking up their pen and using it, but the second they set it down, they forget it. And if you're like me and David, forgetting your pen in Taipei can be a little bit challenging. And if you're a user who's lost your pen, you might not replace it. You might say, oh, yeah, I don't know where it was. I don't want to spend money on a new one. And then the next time it comes around to getting a new device, you might not get a pen-enabled device. So for Windows, we decided that we want to help users find their pens. So the first step in this is tracking the last place you used your pen in the system, and we'll tell you where we think that is. So that way, we can help you find it again. Inside of the settings page under updates and security, there's an existing settings page called Find My Device. Now the Find My Device page will tell you the last time and date that you used your pen, and also it will give you a link to be able to track it in our Maps application. And we'll render a radius around where we think it is with the amount of information that we have in Windows, giving all of the help that we can to pen users. And this works for all HID compliant pen devices. As long as Windows sees an input from the pen, we'll be able to help track it. Now, we talked about what happens when a user puts down their pen and loses it. But what we really want to do is make sure the user never has a chance to put down their pen, so they never lose it. They can just use their pen for every single thing that they do in Windows. So the challenge that we've had is that pen interaction today is not always consistent. If I'm in a browser and I'm in a page like Wikipedia, using my pen might start selecting text, but it doesn't scroll the way that I would expect my finger to interact with the page. But then in other contexts, like the Start menu, when I grab items, it'll start moving them around as though I had almost right-clicked on them and dragged with the mouse. And then in other applications or pages on the browser, the pen won't do anything unless you're grabbing a scroll bar. So this is inconsistent and confusing to users. We want users to feel confident when they pick up the pen that they know exactly what it's going to do, what they can do with it. So this is where we talk about the fluent pen interaction model. Fluent design is something that we talked a lot about at Build this past year, which is giving developers the ability to create new and beautiful user experiences using light, using depth, using new materials. And in order to deliver these new experiences in a way that feel comfortable and powerful to users, they need to be able to get a consistent experience out of every single input modality, whether that's pen, touch, or mouse. So what we've done with the pen interaction model is make it to where when I use an inking application, I can feel confident that the pen will always ink. The second I bring it down to the screen, I start writing. But when I'm in an application that doesn't directly support inking, I can still use my pen for navigation and scrolling. And no matter what I'm doing with the pen, our guidance to developers and the experiences that we're helping to build will make a barrel button invoke selection everywhere so that it's consistent and you know how to interact inside of the system. So we can talk about this a lot, and David showed it a little bit earlier this morning, but we're going to show you just one more demo of the pen interaction model and show some additional things that we didn't have time to show in the keynote this morning.
Thanks, Connor. Perfect. So the first example Connor showed was in Edge in the browser. And there we were selecting text and unable to scroll the page naturally with direct manipulation. Now in the Fall Creators Update, when I put my pen to screen, I can scroll the page and I have inertia just like I would have touch. Easily done with my pen. But then if I want to, for instance, copy some of this text that I see here around msn.com, I can just click the barrel button and select the text, copy it, barrel tap, and paste it right into my document. Entire workflow done just with the pen in my hand, no other input device required. But now we looked at the Start menu. Again, consistent model. I can now scroll through the Start menu using my pen. This affordance is given to our XAML applications, our Win32 applications. So for instance, I'm looking through the File Explorer. I can scroll through files and still use the barrel button in the same way to select the files or folders that I need to move or organize. The barrel button as well that we're showing here, this is actually all part of what we call our Windows Insider program. So this flight just went out to our users, I think just last week. You can actually go in and try this yourself if you're part of our Insider program. Also, when we talk about inking surfaces, the pen's best function is to lay down ink. But with the barrel button now on inking surfaces, we're promoting the model that it can now select the ink strokes with the barrel button pressed. So you now have a unified selection model, be it text, be it objects, or be it ink, all behind the barrel button of the pen.
Thanks, David. So XAML, Win32, browsers, we're trying to make sure that pen feels consistent everywhere. And we're also trying to make sure that pen works great for other tasks as well, like writing text. You know, we can write text for notes and things like that inside of OneNote. But when I want to use my browser, I want to go to a web page, I need to feel confident that I can type out the website that I want to. Now, we've had this handwriting panel available in Windows for a while, but we've always had a little bit of trouble with it. You think, when I'm on a web browser and I go to start writing, with the experience that we have today, my handwriting panel is down at the bottom of the page, but my text box for the URL might be up at the top. So I start writing out my website, and my browser gives me a list of options I could choose for. Maybe I'm going to msn.com. So I type in the M, and suddenly, my handwriting panel starts offering me some options of what that word might be. My URL bar starts offering me some options of what that word might be. It's a disconnected experience. I don't know where to look. So what we've done in the Fall Creators Update is we've made the handwriting panel float by default. Now it'll go up to close to where you're writing, on the text box that you've clicked on, which gives you the ability to focus on the task at hand. We've also made some other improvements to the experience as well. So when you start writing, you don't have to worry about running out of space. Once we recognize a word, we can allow you to move on quickly past it with overflow. So you can just keep writing. You don't have to worry about pausing, waiting for those changes to be recognized, and then committing them. We also support new correction gestures to make it easier if you make a mistake while writing. So you can go ahead and write over text, like in this example over here, writing blocking or clocking. It's just as easy as writing the new letter over top. Or you can use your pen to strike through words or letters that are incorrect. There's also corrections using Smart Ink gestures built on top of our Smart Ink platform. So you can take words and using your pen, split them, changing whatever into whatever, or joining them together again using another gesture. This is just some of the stuff we're trying to enable to make it to where users can write text very easily. And the last thing we're very excited to announce is for folks who are using the simplified Chinese keyboard, you can go in and press a button to enable English mode to make it easier to recognize English characters that are used for mixed input. The future vision of this is that no matter what language you're writing in, or if you're writing a sentence in multiple languages, it should just be that easy to switch between them naturally and easily. So we talked a lot about Windows Ink and all of the things that we've provided in our pen and inking ecosystem. Now let's talk about Radial Controller. For those of you who don't know what Radial Controller is, it's a completely new way to interact with Windows. It's natural, it's immersive, it gives users the ability to have shortcuts right there at their fingertips. We launched this last year with the Surface Dial, and we'll have a new device coming to the market this year with the Dell Canvas 27, both of which are supporting the Radial Controller platform. And what a Radial Controller gives the user is a very simple interaction model. They have this dial that can be rotated. They have a button that can be clicked. With the Surface Dial, they get haptic feedback, which provides them an instantaneous response to where they can know what's happening in the application as they interact. They have integrated UI with the system, which provides users access to all of these easy shortcuts that they can use, changing the volume, scrolling, undo, redo, all of their favorite commands inside of Visual Studio, integration with our Windows Ink toolbar, which I'll talk about in a bit. All of this is provided, and it really creates this great experience for both digital creatives, developers, and even day-to-day users. So making a Radial controller is fairly simple. It's just a HID-compliant device. It provides a button that can be clicked, a dial that can be rotated, and then as differentiating features, we support an on-screen position reporting, so that way the system can render UI around where you place the dial, or haptic feedback, so that way you can provide users the experience when they're interacting with their Radial controller to know exactly what's going on. Because it's a HID device, it's also bus agnostic. So you can see implementations like the Surface Dial, which use Bluetooth, so that way I can use it off screen. I could be standing over here, my system could be over there, I could still control it with my Radial controller. Or, like the Dell Canvas 27, you can have rich integration with the digitizer, detecting that on-screen location, and also determining things like position and button clicking, all through integration with the touchscreen. And for the best kind of experience, you can deliver both of those. The Surface Dial works both on-screen and off-screen, which is really great for users because they have the flexibility to use the dial however they like. Now, I mentioned haptic feedback. One thing that we're very thrilled about with the radial controller is that we now have a new HID specification for simple haptic feedback. What this does is it allows a device to describe how it can be vibrated to the operating system. It tells the system that it supports waveforms like a click or a buzz. And we provide a specification now that allows you to do things like tell the device to click 3 times in a row with a gap of 250 milliseconds between each click. Now that we have that language, we can use that, expose it to developers through our Windows APIs, leverage it for things like gamepads or mobile phones. Creating a language around haptics means that we have the power to innovate around haptics in the future. So as we as Windows start building on these experiences, we'll be so excited to work with the ecosystem to deliver great haptic feedback experiences. Now, if this sounds like something that's cool or interesting to you, you can go ahead and build a radial controller device today. Our implementation guide, which we offer, we've offered implementation guides for pen, for touch, for PTP. We're going to go ahead and we have this live on MSDN right now, which describes all the HID descriptors that you need to get every single piece of functionality out of a radial controller implementation. Once you have a device that's radial controller compliant, then users have the flexibility to use it in a lot of different ways. With Windows Ink, we have deep integration using the Ink toolbar. Provides the users the ability to navigate that toolbar without needing to go up to the toolbar. They can do things like change their brush from the ballpoint pen to the tilt pencil that we showed earlier, or change the color of their strokes. They can also change the size of their ink very quickly with a flick of the wrist, but they can also do it while they're writing to create very drastic pressure effects that can create fun effects for calligraphy. And then also we have integration with those stencils. It's not just simultaneous pen and touch, it's simultaneous pen and radial controller. We want to live in a world where all inputs are simultaneous. And so using your radial controller device, you can place it on the screen and control the size and position of your protractor or the angle of your ruler. All that integration is available to all of our Ink toolbar developers. We also have a bunch of applications which have done the work to build custom and differentiated experiences for the radial controller. Apps like Sketchable, StaffPad, Algorithm DJ Pro, Premiere Pro, Drawboard PDF, all these applications are available in the store or online today with radial controller support. And our first-party applications are supporting these accessories as well. The Office suite is supporting them. Maps has integrated functionality, and Paint 3D as well. So we're very excited to grow the portfolio of applications which are building for radial controller and want to make sure that everyone knows about this new input device that we've built up in Windows. So from here, I'm going to hand it off to David to talk about precision touchpads.
Thanks, Connor. It wouldn't be a WinHEC about natural input devices if we didn't talk about precision touchpad. Precision touchpad is the only touchpad experience that gives you the buttery smooth scrolling with direct manipulation, the same technology we built the Windows Touch experience on. With precision touchpad, the experience is always up to date because every release of Windows we continue to enhance and improve the touchpad experience. In the Creators Update, we've added some new functionality in terms of improving our gesture and mousing disambiguation to make sure it is the best pointing experience, hands down. We have deep integration across the system, multi-finger gestures that are tightly coupled with the Windows shell to make you more productive. And of course, using inbox drivers that give you the best reliability. Now, a lot of folks ask about reliability and how that impacts user satisfaction. I'm here glad to share this with you today. Users love precision touchpads because they are reliable. Not only are they demanding high performance, users demand the best reliability. We found that when users were upgrading to Windows 10 and their legacy touchpads ended up not functioning, losing palm rejection functionality, losing gestures, That was a big detractor for them, and they were no longer willing to recommend those systems or those touchpads to their friends and family. What we've been seeing with Precision Touchpad is exactly the opposite. We're seeing increased net NPS, release over release, with the continual improvements we keep making on the touchpad experience. And this is really important. Every touchpad should be a Precision Touchpad at this point. To some of our partners out there who have adopted Precision Touchpad 100% across their portfolio, thank you. Your users are thanking you. You have delivered a much better experience to your customers. And reviewers also agree with the users. We're seeing fantastic reviews. We're seeing conversions from folks who are previously MacBook users over to now be Windows users, because the touchpad experience is now better on Windows than it is on Mac. One of the most amazing things we've also seen is that the multi-finger gestures are now incorporated with video tutorials in our settings app. This has been a huge impact on user adoption of multi-finger gestures. We've now seen, with this introduction creators update, 5-fold increase in multi-finger gesture usage in the operating system. That's huge. And we've been getting rave reviews around the introduction of tutorials here to teach folks how to use these gestures and how they improve their experience. Now, I hope earlier this morning or this afternoon you attended Okada-san's presentation on Windows 10s, the cloud SKU. It's really important when you think about input devices how you be ready for the cloud SKU itself. Luckily, for touch, for pen, for Precision Touchpad, it's easy. Just use the inbox drivers with firmware-compliant devices, and you're already ready for the cloud SKU. If you are going to provide firmware update functionality, do that through a firmware update capsule. Win32 firmware update tools, unless they are published through the store, won't work on the cloud SKU because it requires those are things that only applications that are validated through the Windows Store can be installed and executed. So no co-installers if you're looking from the legacy touchpad world. Also, if you're offering any value-add software, configuration apps, or setting applets, the best way to be compatible with the cloud SKU is to move those to being UWPs and building on the Windows platform. Or looking at the desktop bridge, also known as Centennial. Now, we covered a lot of content today across pen, across touch, across simultaneous pen and touch, and PTP, and radial controller. So we've listed up here the resources. This is the links to the detailed implementation and validation guides so you can learn how to build these devices and also validate that they're going to produce the experience that your customers are going to want. As Joe mentioned earlier, it does take a village. And I'm amazed at what we have done as a community here with Windows Inc. in the past year. I think next year is going to be even better. So thank you, guys.